I took the public speaking anxiety thing, or just anxiety in general, I think it was, and I got a 66, which is pretty darn low, and that's kind of what I expected. I've never had a really big fear of public speaking. In fact, I used to do it a lot when I was a kid. Like in class, I'd always like go and volunteer up to do it. I don't really know why I wasn't afraid of it. It's probably just when you're a kid, you don't really have any understanding of consequences. It's not like, oh, someone's making fun of me. It was kind of like, oh, I'll just go do it because why not? And I was been pretty good at it. I used to wing it a lot. Like that's why I took the classes to get better at preparing for it. Because like I remember the first speech I ever did was in like I think it was fifth grade, and I just completely winged it. And I got an A, so it kind of set up a bad habit because I was just like, hey, it'll work out. Usually did, but I think in the future it will not. So I really wanted just to polish those skills a bit. Um, and then for that video that we watched, I thought that was really interesting theory. I mean, obviously the science of it is just not wrong, so I think it's right in that regard. Although I don't think that necessarily that's it for me. I think the only really fear I ever get public speaking is if it's like a new crowd, because they're just like afraid of making a bad first impression or like what other people think. I don't think it's ever like I'm generally afraid of the idea. It's more of like how people will perceive how I'm speaking. It's like, oh, am I doing bad, or like how do I look when I'm doing it, like that type of thing. Not necessarily like I'm like shaking about just going up. It's just kind of like how people perceive when I'm done. I'll always be like, oh, was that good? Or I usually end up just thinking, oh, whatever, and then I move on. That's not a huge thing, but I don't necessarily feel it in the same way that I think he was saying that most people do. I thought he was a really good public speaker. I do think that his audience wasn't great because he kept making jokes. I mean, they weren't hilarious, but like they were enough to get like some sort of response. And maybe just the recording, the audience was dead silent. And I think it was really impressive just to keep going and keep making those same jokes and even making like more jokes as he kept going. As soon as I'd tell a joke and it like wouldn't get any response, I would kind of go back to the script and keep it to like a more professional tone. But he like just powered through it, and that's something that for me is really hard to do. So I definitely respected that. I thought he was a really strong public speaker. I mean, obviously he's getting like a seminar on public speaking. He's got to be pretty good. But yeah, that skill in particular is something that I don't have and I would really like to have. One thing I didn't necessarily like is kind of the same thing. The jokes, some of them were a little too over the top for me, but I didn't really hate it. Like, I mean, I still watched the video. It's honestly a video I probably would have like enjoyed, not even as a school mandatory video to watch. That's honestly how good of a speaker I think he was. I think he was really captivating, even if it's like in a way you don't like him. I think it still grabs your attention. He honestly reminded me a lot of like kind of like a social media person, just because how really extroverted he felt and kind of like forces you to listen and grab your attention. I feel like he was a really good speaker for sure.